Good morning, everybody. Simona and Susan are here. We'll give it just another minute or two. I see some people are still coming onto the GoToWebinar, and then we will get started. Simona, we may as well get started.
Okay. I hope everyone can hear me. So this is our bi-monthly webinar, and we'll be discussing the surveys that we did over the past couple of months, both online and one-on-one in person.
It helps if I forward the slides, doesn't it?
I thought I had a button for that. It was the wrong button. So today we're going to do some introductions and then go into really the contractor survey and what we heard from the contractors and sort of how that's affecting the thought process. Then some updates about phase 3 and then questions. So today on the call, Susan and myself from PSD, Tim and Jay from Honeywell will be on with us, as will Kurt and Lori from First Energy. I will be answering questions. If you look, it should be to the right of your screen. There's a little question box. So I'll be looking out for your questions in that box and answering those in your chat. So feel free to let me know if you have an inquiry or you want to make a comment on that.
The webinar, we are recording the webinar, and just like the last one, we'll put it up online as well for any of those who missed it or just want to review any parts of it.
So really the survey was the start of the process. So you might have gotten a lot of emails from me reminding you about the SurveyMonkey survey, and you might have gotten a call from me to do a one-on-one survey. And really we had a really great turnout. We had 17 participants online, which was more than 50% response rate. And then I did 5 one-on-one surveys with Susan and Tim and some of our contractors. And we really had a lot of good input and a lot of great discussion. I think there were many things that were brought up, and there were a lot of similarities between responses. So it was a really great way to get to know you, as well as to get to know how you feel about the program.
And I can just add my thanks, because we really appreciated all your inputs and ideas. It's been exceptionally helpful, and that's why we definitely wanted to take this opportunity to just let you know that we heard you and let you see the results, and obviously have this time to ask questions about it. Laurie and Kurt are here from First Energy, so they're very much aware of this survey and what you had to say as well. So we're really happy to hear that most of you are planning to continue with the program, and as Simona said, please continue to let her know what we can do better. If you have any questions or concerns, let us know. But we know some of you are on the fence. We would definitely like to hear from you as to what sort of you would need to know about making a decision. Obviously, we still haven't seen the final phase 3 design. That will be coming. Anything else to add there? Simona, why don't you walk us through this one?
Okay, so I don't know, and I just like to say I do like to hear from people, and I am keeping track of any comments about the program, about the software, so that I have those during future discussions about the program. And if you have like an issue or concern, please let me know anytime via email or while we're on the phone talking about something else. So one of the questions was really about the $350 audit cap. I think for most of you, it's been a good tool. It assures the customer that they are not going to get charged some astronomical amount, but that the cap doesn't really account for some of the costs involved with larger homes, more complicated projects, projects that might be very far away, and then it becomes a matter of, do you accept this audit, knowing that you may lose income on performing it. So there were some requests that it be more flexible in the audit pricing, that maybe there would be room for exceptions, and that that there could be more sort of adjustments for that. And that's certainly a concern. Obviously, the cost of auditing a 5,000 square foot house that's 2.5 hours from your base of operations is going to be a far different cost issue than the 1,500 square foot house down the road. So, that is really something we're hearing, and I think it was good that that people really share their honest opinions about that.
And helps if I. So the direct install measures, a mixed response. Some of you love them, some of you not so much. You do recognize that it gives you more time to interact with the homeowner in the house and have an opportunity to explain more to them about base load and their opportunities to reduce it. Definitely, you did voice to us that, the time and effort it takes to install them versus what you get paid, and your shipping and inventory and management and carrying costs are things that, concern you. We also heard loudly and clearly that you are starting to hear consistently that people don't want CFLs anymore, and that your opportunities to install CFLs are really starting to go down, and you're hearing that people want LEDs. You did suggest that we could think about advanced thermostats. These would be smart thermostats or programmable thermostats, although those two are slightly different. Cork weather stripping was mentioned, but you recognize that, within an audit, both of these are perhaps somewhat more complicated to install, especially the smart thermostat. It takes more time than you might have for the audit. So I think these things, will continue to engage with you to see where and how they might be appropriate in the program. Simona, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that really covered it. That this was pretty split, but and the LEDs were definitely the thing that everybody wanted added to the program.
And I see a question from Andrew that he feels that the lighting protocols are calculated too low. This is the TRM, the Pennsylvania TRM, and they are calculated according to that. And of course, the TRM is changing again, and CFLs, of course, lose all savings. Is it what? It's 20, beginning of 2020 or something. Yeah, beginning of 2020. They lose all the savings, and so that we'll see as we come to that later in the program. Simona.
So right now, and this was, I think, one of the more vocal to responses. The rebates are captured and calculated on a 10 cents per kilowatt savings. It's understandable to the contractors, but maybe not to the customers, and that it can be hard to calculate, especially when the home is not all electric, when the home might have a gas or mixed heating system. So it's difficult to give the customer the rebate amount up front, so it makes it harder to sell the measure itself. There was also a drop in the rebate level from phase one, so some of you are not, and understandably, not really even bothering with the paperwork at this point because the rebate levels aren't worth the time it takes to file the rebate. So that there are, there are surely a lot of ways to improve the major measure rebate program and how and how to sell it to the customer, because this is one of the sort of targets of the program is trying to get customers to go that next step and make major measure updates. So to really give you a better sales tool, or at least something less complicated, would be what you would want to see.
Please do continue to just ping any questions on that, because yeah, we heard you loudly and clearly that for you, the cost that it takes to go back and report in that major measure when a customer is maybe only getting $20 or $30 or $40 back, you just don't feel that that is a good value proposition to the customer to charge them for coming back to do that test out work and doing the submittal into the program. So we heard you on that. Quite how we'll change it, we're still very much in discussion, but we did hear you. And yes, we are getting to the 180-day. And one of the things is definitely, we hear you that you feel it would be easier to explain to customers if it was just a straight specific level, X dollars if you do this, Y dollars if you do this, or maybe, another package if you do a combination of measures. Obviously, from First Energy's perspective, as you can understand, it's all about cost effectiveness. So it's all about bringing in line, paying for kilowatt hours that they actually get, savings that are actually achieved. And sorry, I'm moving between screens here. Mostly you were happy with the current suite of major measures, but a lot of you identified that the heat pump hot water heater is one you're now very interested in being able to fold into this part of the program as well, that you're starting, especially as the technology has developed and is becoming more and more mature, that there are some good opportunities there. Simona.
So the marketing customer recruitment, obviously, without these sort of customers, this program doesn't work. And this was a mixed batch, because I think it really depends on your market and how and the sort of income and awareness level of your particular customer base. So we really wanted to know how your customers are hearing from you, and whether or not you're recruiting them, whether they're being recruited through the First Energy program, and how that has really been useful. So some of the tools.
There we go. I think I'm on the right screen now, am I?
Yes, I think now you are. Some of the tools have been the Oak Power reports. I think we've heard that the customers, it definitely riles some of them up. And I was at an event where a lot of customers mentioned these Oak Power reports. They may make them angry, but they also put a little bit of a fire under them, and that might be what gets them to really make the call. The bill inserts and direct mail are useful, and they're working, especially the ones I think that have the contractor list in them. The websites are somewhat useful, but I think it was a mixed bag as to how user-friendly the websites were. I have been on the website to find contractor lists for customers in certain areas, and I will say that you do have to click through a lot, and that maybe the website itself doesn't have as much advertisement for the program when people go in to pay their bills. So those are definitely very useful suggestions for the program, and really trying to get the customers aware, because for the most part, people still aren't aware that there are rebates available. The energy audits are a useful tool for them, and we want to direct as many customers towards you. as well for that. So yeah, they can be very hard to recruit. In some cases, some of you are getting only a tiny percentage are coming, like 5% are coming from the First Energy marketing. Some are getting 50%. Again, it really depends on your market. It seems like the larger and more sort of sophisticated the market, the more you're getting first the leads through the First Energy materials. And all of you are doing your own marketing, so again, that can be from anywhere from half to almost all of your customers are coming from that. Many of you are selling them on the audits when they call to talk about other things, like they might call to say my house is too cold, and at that point you're really the primary salesperson for that audit, and that's really great. That might be something that we can talk about in the future as to how you can really make that sale for the audit and make that sale so that you can really develop a long-term relationship with that customer that calls you out of the blue. Really explaining what home energy efficiency is, that home performance, not just whether or not my house is hot or cold or comfortable, that it's really a full house approach and a holistic approach to that. And making your customers aware of the rebate programs and making them aware of the need to make energy improvements. Right now, energy is kind of cheap in Pennsylvania, so it is a harder sell. But really to make them aware of all the other factors and to make them aware of what the future might hold as far as their energy costs and their comfort in their homes. So these are all factors that I think we can approach on a basis of educating ourselves and as well as all of you, so that we can sort of work on this as a team.
We asked you questions about the software, and some of you are relying, you exclusively use the program generated reports from the software, and others of you never use them. You use your own internal custom reports. We did hear pretty consistently, and this is not a new message to us, but it was good to hear it again. More ability to customize those reports, be able to embed photographs, and just a better structure to truly help make the sale. Those of you who were at the Mike Rogers training will have, also heard, how you can use reports to support making the sale. Simona, as you heard, is definitely continuing to collect input on how to make the reports better. And we actually are also looking into potentially doing a software-specific survey that's still in the works. We also heard, in general, there's a real mixed bag of experience with the software. Some of you find it quite straightforward and simple, and some of you feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall. And Simona is definitely here to help you when that's your experience. And we recognize that sometimes, there are issues that are specific to your computer, and that can be incredibly frustrating. In general on the software, just making sure that it's providing sort of the education and the tools to help support the sale. We did hear that the 180-day limit is not giving some customers enough time to really actually make that decision. They might need to raise financing or what have you and really proceed to the major measures. As I recall, and Laurie and Kurt can correct me if I'm wrong, this was actually a request from stakeholders as we came into phase 2 to try and help move customers along instead of just hanging out there indefinitely. So the degree to which it is not working, please do let us know. I mean, First Energy does consider things on a case-by-case basis. If there is a reason to give an extension to the customer, those have happened in the past. So I certainly wouldn't want customers to feel like they're completely locked out of the process. Just engage with us, because very often First Energy has been able to make a number of exceptions in the past. And we're coming down to the home stretch. So what we know about phase 3 right now is that yes, there definitely will be an audit and a whole house program. the program design, First Energy is still working on it. The one thing we do know is that there will be a transition from CFLs to LEDs. That is definitely coming, but the specifics still being worked out. So that wraps us up for today, and let us scroll through the questions and see if there are any we haven't answered yet.
I apologize. My phone cut me out for a second there. So if I missed anything there.
So just to repeat, if you have a customer who's coming up against the 180 days, please reach out. That we may very well be able to do something, especially as we come down into the last few months of phase 2. We haven't worked through the specifics yet with First Energy as to how and what they may be able to transition over from phase 2 to phase 3, but I would definitely be trying to use this hard, because it's a hard cutover date on the 1st of June, to try and help push them in the direction, because we have no idea yet what the rebate calculations will be in phase 3 for major measures. That's still very much all in the works. Simona, do you see anything else?
Susan, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Kurt.
Hey, I just wanted to add to what you said there. The phase 2 funds and everything has to be completely, you cannot carry over into phase 3. So that 180-day requirement was put in by the PUC, like you said, to get people to perform the work and get their applications in on time. So everything has to be submitted and done by the end of May 31st to get paid for with phase 2 funding. So once phase 3 begins in June of 2016, that's going to be a whole separate program. It was whole separate funding. I just wanted to clarify that just to make sure that everybody gets everything in by the end of May 31st of 2016 there.
Thanks for that.
And also with the 180 days, this isn't just a source. Actually, I've had like 3 or 4 cases of this in the past week or 2. It's if you make the measure, do the major measure within 180 days, but you don't get to the test out until after that, or you don't have time to file the paperwork on Compass after that, that's fine. You don't even need to file an exemption. Just make sure that the work is marked as having been done before the 180 days. And if there's some issue, like we've had, contractors who are really too busy, or the homeowner had a baby, let me know, and we can definitely help you out with that. It's not so rigid that if there is a complication that we can't find a workaround for that.
And First Energy is definitely flexible and has, tried to really, work with customers to the degree that, to the degree possible. And really thank Laurie and Kurt for that. Andrew, I see your question on some air sealing calculations. So glad you're following up with Simona on that today. Rob, you had a question in there about insight or predictions, but I'm not understanding about quite what. I guess you're asking about phase 3. I think, Laurie and Kurt, if any insight you can share on how you think phase 3 might be structured would be helpful, but I also don't want to put you on the spot. I know it's still very much in the works and not finalized yet. So to the degree.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is it's probably going to be similar to the way it is in phase 2, but based on feedback we get today, and we're going to have, obviously, like we do now, we're going to have a limited budget, and like Susan said, it has to be as cost effective as possible. But we're definitely going to be changing things and trying to improve it for phase 3, but we are definitely haven't gone that far down the road yet, so we still have time to take people's comments and see what areas that we can improve on. But I envision it to be similar to what it is now, with definitely some, hopefully some improvements that we can make, based on feedback.
And Rob, you ask, what about forwarding rebates to the contractor instead of the homeowner? This is Kurt. This is Rob from York Home Performance. As you'll recall, this was definitely one of, the questions that more than one contractor raised.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a good idea, and that's something we're thinking about. I know we thought about it in phase 2 as well, but we'll just have to make sure that that's something we're able to do. We're going to have to just make sure that, that's the PUC and, in our filing allows us to do that. But that's definitely one of the things I think we're going to be looking at for phase 3.
We can say we have never had a case of this in Pennsylvania. Thank God, but we have heard of other programs. This is a control issue as well. We know many of you have been with the programs for years. There have unfortunately been incidents in some other programs in some other states where fake jobs have been submitted into the program by contractors. As I said, we have never had that in Pennsylvania. But it's definitely one of the reasons why the PUC is very sensitive to the controls around funding and who gets paid for what, and to make sure that, these are real jobs and audits in the program. Obviously, we have a QA process. There are lots of validations and checks that happen behind the scenes between both PSD and Honeywell as we check on the First Energy website, etc. But that is definitely, a factor that First Energy absolutely has to work around and make sure that it designs a rebate process that doesn't allow people who would try to game the system. And as I said, so far we have never had any issues in this program at all. Any other questions that anybody would have that we haven't answered or haven't got to? As I said, Laurie and Kurt are on the phone and listening in. So this is a really good opportunity to, ask those questions and hear directly back from them. Well, don't hesitate to email or pick up the phone. We really enjoyed this, and your feedback has been so helpful. It told us some things we knew. It told us some things we knew in some pretty strong language, and we appreciate you really engaging with us on that, because it tells us that, you are passionate, you are engaged. This is something you really want to help grow and make better. And so we really thank you for your time. And definitely taking it seriously. I mean, where there is always things we can learn, there are always things we can improve upon. And it was really great to hear from you. So, and we are definitely thinking about a software specific survey. Look for that. It's still very much in the works and going through early planning stages. Simona, Tim, Jay, any other last words, or Kurt or Laurie, is there anything else you would like to say before we will close this down?
I just wanted to also thank everybody, and really, you have my information. If you want to drop me a line anytime with questions or with comments, please do. I'd love to talk to more of you and to interact with everyone and really get to feel a feel of how you like the program and what things you don't like as well.
We will put this, we have recorded this, it'll go online, and Simona will send you out the link. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you all, it's a pretty mild fall for us so far, so not sure what our winter is going to be, but I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your families. Goodbye all.
Bye.